If I were to say we never start the show late, I'd be lying on comic book canon. Yep. That's right. That's right. I have to be honest. We usually start the show late, not because we want to, because we want to get it right. Okay. And it's never my fault. It's usually either Chris's fault or Joe's fault or our guest's fault. Never my fault, people. I try and bring it to you on time. I'm a professional. Literally, I do that as my job. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I'll bring two guys in that they can speak for themselves. They are my good friends, my co-hosts, my partners in crime, Joseph and Christopher. What's happening, hot stuff?
Woo!
Do you guys want to comment on being late? I mean, Joe had a shower.
If Magnus Carlsen can be late for his chess matches on a regular basis, and he's the greatest in the world, obviously the greatest comic book YouTube channel live Sunday evening show at 8 p.m. Eastern time called Comic Book Canon can also be late.
That's well said. Chris, you want to follow up? I don't know. It can't be better said than that.
I live in this box, so I'm never late. This box.
Literally, man. You can only move so far to your left or your right. I got it. You are
He's just always in front of the camera waiting for the live light to flash out and be like, oh, it's time.
That is a true professional. That absolutely is a true professional. But we're here a couple of days before 4th of July, if you celebrate in the United States. We're happy to be here on Comic Book Canon. We have a great guest tonight. Comic Uprising, a.k.a. James, is with us today. Stalwart of the community. Stalwart? That's a word, right?
That's a word. I don't know if you used it right, but it's definitely a word.
It sounded cool, so I shouldn't have said something. But yeah, super excited about tonight. We're going to get into some news because there's an exciting piece of news, and then there's not some here we go. You know what I mean? So it's just been like this. Joe's been kind of like the news guy for the last few weeks. It's lifted a lot off our shoulders, Chris and myself. But we'll chime in as well. Joe, why don't you just get us started?
Yeah, absolutely. So the big piece of news, the big exciting piece of news for comic book fans everywhere is that we finally have our Man of Steel and his number one gal. We've got Clark Kent and Lois Lane, and they've both been cast for Superman Legacy with James Gunn confirming the rumor. That's the big thing because both of these names have been thrown around a little bit, but James Gunn officially went on the record confirming the rumor. David Cornsweet, a Philadelphia native who is
in the house,
who is well known for his work with Ryan Murphy on some Netflix series, will be playing Superman in the film with Rachel Brosnahan from the Marvelous Miss Maisel fame, taking on the role of Lois. And reactions from the community seem to be overall positive, despite the hype and subsequent letdown experienced during the whole Henry Cavill coming back in Black Adam, and then almost immediately him announcing that he was done playing Superman, all that stuff. So catch Superman Legacy as the flagship film of the DC universe in theaters July 11th, 2025. We've got about 2 years, almost exactly 2 years from the date until that movie comes out. I'm excited. What about you guys?
Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know these two individuals whatsoever. I think I did watch one of the Netflix shows that he was in, but nothing that I can even have an opinion on. He looks great. He looks like a Superman. I mean, he looks like, it's just the perfect face. But we also got to understand it's not just about looks. They got to play the role. I'm good to see what they do and then make my judgment on that. Like I always say, I do believe that a lot of just movie fans in general, but more so like comic book or pop culture fans that see characters coming to life that are from comic books or these different stories, they are so bent on, their fan castings. And oftentimes it has to do with the two things they have, the look. Oh, this person looks just like him, so they would be great. Yeah, but can they act? No. Or they're so bent on it having to be a name, having to be this huge name like, you know, Brad Pitt or doesn't need to like play every role. So Marvel, you know, look at what they did with Chris Hemsworth and when they brought him into Thor. You know, he was relatively not well known, and he's done an absolute amazing job. So we'll see. James Gunn, having some faith in him and what's to come. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Like, I don't know much about this guy, but Rachel Brosnahan, she is phenomenal. Like, she's absolutely Lois Lane. She could play the part. She was great in The Marvelous Miss Maisel. I don't know her from anything else, to be honest with you, but just her performance in that, I'm sold on her. And if they made a decision like that, I'm pretty sure that the decision they had for Superman is right up there as well. I mean, considering he's the most important character of the film. But yeah, Jay, you were about to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say one thing that, you know, you really see time and time again is think about this. When Keaton was cast, this was before my time, but I've seen videos and stuff of people going like, no, why are they casting Keaton as Batman? He's going to be terrible. Well, guess what? Everyone loved him. And those movies, most people, at least most people that I've talked to, Keaton is their favorite Batman. Now, that happened. There were some in the 90s. We won't even talk about them. Christian Bale came along and people were like, no, Christian Bale, Batman, no. People love Christian Bale. Ben Affleck, the same thing happened. Robert Pattinson, the same thing happened. Give these people a chance before you, like, they're professional actors. They do this for a living. They can change their, you know, characteristics about themselves, their voice, you know, how they act. They do it for a living. Let's have some faith in them. And you know, I have faith in James Gunn because, you know, he has put out good stuff in Marvel and in DC.
And DC, yeah.
And other things in the last 10 years.
Full faith. I have full faith in what he's doing. I'm excited to see what he's going to do. Chris, Joe, and I, we shit on DC, basically, because they've deserved it. It's been garbage. Most of it has been, in my opinion, I'd say 80%. I'm not sure where your guys' numbers are, but I'd say about 80% of it is just
less than that. But yeah,
but I think it's going to be on the right track here. There's going to be no perfect casting announcement. No matter what, you're going to piss people off. No matter what. If you bring Christopher Reeve back to play Superman in his prime, people would still be pissed off. So, like, again, give it a chance. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what James Gunn does, and that's all we'll say about that. Didn't Forrest Gump say that? That's all I have to say about that.
Yep, that was wow. That was really good, Jeff.
Is it good? I've been told that I do have a good Forrest Gump. She'd like a box of chocolate. All right, I'm not going to continue down this path. We have all right. So next up, we have an update of just a really delicate and unfortunate situation, Joe.
Yeah.
So let's get into it.
Yeah. So this one's we got a little good, a little bad here. We got some good news and some bad news regarding Kang actor Jonathan Majors, and that's come to light this week. Despite the charges of domestic violence being dropped after that incident in New York City a few months ago, due to evidence that proved against the claim, there are new accusations surfacing detailing other domestic incidents dating back as far as a decade. Now, these are not criminal charges. These are accusations on the internet. No word yet from Marvel Studios, of course, but these continuous instances of bad PR will likely have to be addressed at some point. We also had news recently, similarly, about Tana Huerta, who played
Namor.
Namor, yeah. Reminder just to all of you about this topic. Comic Book Canon condemns any action of abuse, and of course, we support survivors of such crimes.
Yeah, it's a very delicate situation. It's you don't want to tiptoe around it. You want to take these allegations seriously. It's interesting. There's been a lot of he said, she said. Well, actually, you don't hear much from Jonathan Majors. Well, maybe a little bit from his lawyer, but I don't know what to say. Like, it's not going to go to trial, the latest allegations, but then you have all these other things bubbling up. Who really knows? Like, at this point, it's really serious what we're talking about here, because people need to be held accountable. People in position of power that perform these hideous acts need to be held accountable. If he was part of that, he needs to be held accountable. But at the same time, if he had nothing to do with these kinds of things, this really ruins a career. So we don't want to discount anybody's situation or what they've gone through or anything like that. But again, we don't have any facts. So I don't know, Chris.
I want to say a few things. I want to add a little context. For one, as a musician, as a rapper, in my career, I never once made a song or a reference in a song that degraded women. I was raised by two amazing women, my mom and my grandmother, and I do believe me. I'm all about the Me Too. We've lived in a society where women have not felt they have the safety net to even speak up when things of these natures happen to them, because we live in a man's world. That's just the nature of it. But with that being said, we really have to understand as well that we live in a world where people are just not good people, men and women, you know. And I am going to speak briefly on the Tupac situation. This is a whole other conversation, but I got to shed light on this to contrast here. The Tupac, for those that don't know, was accused of rape, sodomy. Like, there were so many different charges. All right. He was ultimately accused by the judge of forcibly touching a woman's bottom, which obviously was just them trying to get him on anything. The individual that introduced Tupac to this woman came out after Tupac's death to be a federal agent, a CI. All right. That's a whole other story, though. But you look, the point that I'm making is we have to use our due diligence. Okay. We can't just lean to some emotional bias, even if it's good intent, meaning, oh my gosh, it's a man, so they must be guilty.
Yeah.
This article that came out this last week talking about there is behavior that goes 10 years back. Read that article, and there is no fact-based evidence. There's no proof. And quite honestly, the author, the editors, and the publication that I feel is substantially a solid, reputable source. Like, I'm sorry, regardless if it's true or not, the way that article was written was horrible, because it's so accusatory without any even benefit of the doubt. Mm-hmm. Now, you also have two situations. You have one situation that came out where that individual that accused Jonathan Majors, there, and not only did the charges get dropped against Majors, but that individual now was arrested on charges because she was guilty of assaulting him. Yeah. So if you put it all together, and then we can even talk about the Michael Jackson thing, which I'm not going into right now. But the bottom line is that if anybody wants to have an opinion on these things, because these situations are going to ruin somebody's life, whether it's a woman that doesn't feel safe, that has had an atrocity done to her that is unspeakable, or an innocent individual, man or woman, where somebody is basically doing something that is based on false pretenses and lies that can literally bring their not just career, their livelihood, their lives, their families, everything down to the ground and burn in flames. So before anyone speaks on this moving forward, I ask everyone to take heed, to be your own detectives, do your own research, and do your best before you speak on these things, and go on social media and spread this, and that. You know, be about the facts and what is known.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, we can't have an opinion either way because there are no facts. And to have an opinion at this point right now is completely unfair to the process, right? And again, any one of us could go to a newspaper or some sort of outlet and say, I have information, this is what it is, and it's on them to run it. And if you run it without having those, second, third kind of sources that confirm this, that's on you, man. That's irresponsible. So anyways, I really don't know what to say. I hope it doesn't continue on like this, because I feel like Majors has lost a lot of roles. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And again, if he is guilty of this, well deserved. More than that is deserved, by the way. But he's in limbo. So, like, I don't know. And again, we don't condone any sort of that behavior. It's just it's a delicate situation. So we're going to move on from that to a less delicate situation with still something that's like, really? Why? Am I right?
Yeah, definitely. We got some news this week that Marvel is making an interesting move here. Hall H at San Diego Comic-Con has been the site of some major announcements regarding the MCU for more than a decade now, but not this time around. Marvel Studios has pulled out of their regular spot at the convention, and rumors have been abuzz as to why. Fans have proposed that it's the writer's strike, it's lack of interest in the recent releases, or that other announcement opportunities are the reason behind this shift. But Marvel has not made any statement as of yet. Personally, my thoughts on it, they have, if you noticed, San Diego Comic-Con and what is it, D23, the Disney announcement.
It's a convention. It's a convention as well. Yeah.
But yeah, they have a big announcement thing there. Maybe they're just holding off on that to be able to make the big announcements there. There's also interesting enough, the writers aren't able to speak at these during the writer's strike, and there was a chance that as of July 1st, I read in an article that SAG was going to get involved, the Screen Actors Guild as well. At that point, the actors wouldn't have been able to. So if actors and the acting union and the writing union, it would just be the directors. And let me tell you, that would not be the most entertaining show with just the directors talking on these panels. You got to have the celebrities, the writers, are behind the stories. So it would have been much needed. So I personally think that it's a good thing because they're not trying to force out bad, they're not trying to force out something that's not meant to be. They're going to wait on it. And probably I think D23, we're going to get some word.
As a drummer, you're told when you play funk music, less is more. Okay. So less of these announcements could be more in the long term. However, a guy like Kevin Feige will demand everybody's attention in Hall H. He stands up with a blank screen and just says, yeah, we're going to release this movie at this date. We just cast these people. It's going to be super exciting. It's going to be awesome. Thank you, San Diego. I'm out. Like if he did that, he makes news, right?
Oh,
so,
yeah.
You don't need the actors there. You don't need the directors there. You have the head of Marvel Studios who knows everything about anything to tell the audience. That's excitement enough. So I think, I don't know. I like the fact that again, because everybody's bringing up this whole superhero fatigue, like films and stuff, the way The Flash performed, the way I'm not sure if Guardians underperformed. I don't think it
Guardians killed it.
Okay. So I mean, maybe superhero fatigue is a thing. Maybe, again, less is more. Maybe they're holding back all the information for D23. If there is a D23 this year, I'm not sure. I don't know what to think, but again, I don't want to read too much into this as like, oh, no, Marvel Studios is in trouble. It's because it's not. Chris.
Yeah, I mean, I like, a couple of Joe's points. I personally think it's a little of both. I mean, I agree with you, Jeff, about Kevin Feige, but, when Mahershala Ali came out as Blade. I mean, you can't.
No, you're right.
When Natalie Portman came out and held the hammer, like those things just add so much more to it. I think it's a little bit of both because I also believe that, especially Disney, they want to command the attention. They want to bring whether it's revenue they're looking for or just their attention under their roof. They've realized that D23, we have the power to be bigger than San Diego Comic-Con, even with DC fandom and what they've been doing for the last couple of years with that. I mean, so I just think part of it as well is them saying, like, we don't need this venue. We got it. Also, I do want to add just a little note to it because I really don't think this has anything to do with superhero fatigue. I don't believe superhero fatigue is real. I believe what's fatiguing or what is a bit of a fatigue right now is just the economy and people going to the movies.
Sure.
And this is why, people have, there's an agenda, and that's why this movie flopped, or this movie flopped because of fatigue, or this. Like, movies are underperforming left and right.
Yeah.
If Guardians 3 came out pre-COVID era, it would have easily hit over $1 billion because it came close to it. Or not era, but I mean in that type of economy. So, and I think that movie actually goes to show that there is no real fatigue. I do think that, like a lot of people were saying in the chat about Ezra and how that kind of affected the Flash, I think that had some things to do with it, but I don't think it's necessarily fatigue. I just think it's an overall, people spending their money. I don't think it has anything to do with Marvel, anything to do with superhero movies. I think we're going to be just fine. And I think whatever Disney via Marvel has up their sleeves with Kevin, they're taking their time to do it in the way that they feel is right.
You're right. Like that Fantastic Four casting announcement is going to blow it's going to blow up the internet. You know what I mean? It's going to be awesome. Everybody's waiting for that. So
yeah.
There's a lot of ways you can look into this. It could be as simple as because my company's clamping down on travel too. Maybe they're just like, hey, we don't want to pay for travel, which is probably not the case for their billion-dollar properties. But anyways,
and one more thing to note is that the timeline got pushed back on things. Yeah. So they made announcements last year. They made a ton. We got the announcement about Nori Jordan's favorite thing in the world, the Thunderbolts movie.
Yeah.
we got announcements about tons of stuff. I can't even remember. Like, they're all buzzing through my head right now about last year in Hall H. But a lot of that stuff got pushed back. So it makes sense that they would push back the next round of announcements at least a couple months. They don't want to get too far ahead of themselves. So
you got to do it right. Right. I'm going to use us as an example. We have a nice special announcement that we just weren't prepared to say today, but we're going to say it next week. And it has something to do with Fresh from the Comic Shop. I know one person in the chat knows what it's about. Tony Trombetta. I don't know if the other people are there, but anyways, we're going to move on. That's just a little tease. That's what they call a tease in the industry. We're going to move on to our last story because Joe Chris, usually Chris and I and Joe too, we talk about these things, right? Chris, I have not talked to you about this at all. Joe, take it away.
Yeah, so I'll tell you this, guys. Secret Invasion debuted 2 weeks ago. I watched the first episode, and I was honestly a little let down because of one thing that happened, and also just I didn't feel super connected to what was going on. Yeah, sure, Nick Fury's back. Great. I love that they're focusing on him, like really focusing on him for the first time. Ben Mendelsohn, who plays Talos, is one of my favorite actors. But I was not connected to that first episode. It wasn't bad. It was mediocre, though. I watched the second episode, and I so far have rewatched that second episode twice because that was literally the most excited I've been about anything Marvel related and probably anything comic related in the year 2023, including like those heart-wrenching scenes in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I think the second episode of Secret Invasion beat that out. If you have not started the show yet, if you feel fatigued like we've talked about, or if you haven't been impressed by the other Disney Plus shows, please give Secret Invasion a chance. I am all in on this series, even just 2 episodes in.
Chris, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I said this about a lot of these shows. It's like an extended movie. Okay, one episode is like 15 or 20 minutes of a movie. That's how I look at it. So the first episode, if it's just the first 15 or 20 minutes of a movie, you gotta sometimes you gotta let it build. And I think that's what these shows do. I did talk about how like Obi-Wan Kenobi, I felt like having the breaks in between weeks though didn't do it justice. It's like, I want to see this build. I would sit there for a 3-hour because I timed it and everything. Like, I think the whole series wasn't even 4 hours. So, they could have took 30 minutes out and made it a movie. I would have been good. This though, I'm not saying needs to be a movie. But yeah, I thought the first episode was a little slow. I was shocked at something that happened too. Second episode was great. I think, because a lot of people were like, oh, you know, like, come on, man, I thought we were gonna see Nick Fury, and I'm like, I think we're gonna see Nick Fury in this series, and I like the main antagonist. Like, didn't he play Malcolm X in
He did. It was in an Amazon film. I can't remember what it was. Good call. Yeah,
he did a great job in that. And hey, man, it's hard for me to see anybody portray Malcolm after Denzel. So for him to be so convincing in that, like, I like this guy, man, and I think this is something that Marvel's been doing, like with Guardians, with High Evolutionary, with this guy so far, and they're completely different characters, but I think that's something that talk about necessarily fatigue, but I think a lot of critics, a lot of fans, as they critique what Marvel's been doing, is that lack of this strong, antagonist. And I think we're getting that. I like the ground. I like how we're back to being grounded in this tone. So I'm really excited about where it's going to go.
It's really interesting because it is a cosmic threat on Earth.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm through and through a street level guy. You know, Batman, Daredevil, Spider-Man are my guys. But when a cosmic threat comes to Earth and it becomes a street level cosmic threat, like, that's pretty cool. I think that's a really interesting way. We really haven't seen too much of that. You know, Thanos, yes, was on Earth, but he was also hopping around the universe most of the time.
Right. I kind of like what you said, Joe. Like, I thought you told me earlier, and I thought you were going one way. You tricked me a little bit here, but like, I don't feel connected with the series. Even with episode 2, there are things that happened that I didn't feel like heavily impacted by, like, and I should have, right?
Okay.
I wasn't like, oh, what? You know, I didn't have those moments. I think it's good. I'm excited to see. I think there's gonna be some crazy twists to it. Like, I have no doubt about that, considering what the Skrulls are, right? Yeah. They're shapeshifters that can impersonate anybody. Another problem I have is that the Nick Fury Talos relationship, it's not, I don't know if it's the acting. It feels very contrived to me, and I'm having a problem.
Really?
Yes, Ben Wilson is a phenomenal actor, but his performance has been like just so contrived to me. I don't know. That's just where I'm coming from. I'm going to watch every week.
I got a question.
We're kicking him off the show. I can't talk. Can't handle any Ben Mendelsohn slander. Jeff, be good when I bring you back.
I was not slandering, but I said he's a phenomenal actor. There's something. It could be the director's fault. It may not be his fault, right? Yeah, so
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
I'm wondering if this could be, and again, I'm kind of saying this as a statement, but it's really a question. I'm wondering if this could be like the emotional connection. I'm wondering if this could be the tone, because I think that's the thing with, like, if we look at again, okay, imagine the Winter Soldier being a TV series, right? I mean, I guess we got a little bit of that in Falcon and Winter Soldier, you know, but I say the film The Winter Soldier just because of how high adrenaline, like, one moment to the next was. And not every moment in that movie was action. You know, it wasn't. And when those action scenes hit, we were already so, like, it was like and everything was intense.
We were wound up. It wounded us up. Yeah.
So I'm wondering, it may be because you think about tone and pacing are so different in a TV series. If it's changing how you're taking in and connecting with the characters, and maybe it's kind of like, and I think, and I'm asking this because that's kind of how I felt with Obi-Wan Kenobi, like, and I had to go and watch it again back to back and act like I was watching a movie to, like, really feel like, oh, okay, this, I am connected to it.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it is setting us up. I don't know. You guys are not like, I don't know. You don't agree with me. I get it. And again, it's not Ben Mendelsohn. He is awesome. I think he's great. I've seen it. He was in that Netflix show, like something about, I don't know. He was crazy, but
he's in Star Wars Rogue One, the greatest Star Wars.
Yes, I know, but I'm just saying, like, again, I hope they're setting us up for something here because it just feels off. Is the way I'll explain it. Like that's how only way I can explain it. I don't want to harp too much on this. We'd love to know what you guys are thinking about Secret Invasion. Please do not spoil. No spoilers. Josh came up with a good idea here. You guys should do it. Where is this comment? You guys should do a review after the show wraps. Yeah. Maybe we could do an episode review. I don't know. That's a lot of work, though. We're busy guys. We're very busy guys.
Totally agree about Olivia Colman. She's phenomenal.
Yeah, she's awesome. And props to Swag House. We haven't seen you in a while. Hope all is good with you, sir. But yeah. Anyways, I think we'll just move on from news. Okay, agree to disagree. We're all still friends here. Am I right?
Yeah, we have kept our guest waiting for quite a while.
Yeah, you know what though? He's about to enter an interview because he wants the position. He will wait as long as he waits. Am I right?
Sweat. You gotta make him sweat a little bit.
Exactly. So since you have the boombastic voice, Joe, I think you should do the intro as we bring up James's.
All right. So let me tell you guys, I have only been aware of the existence of this person, James from Comic Uprising, Comic_Uprising on Instagram, for less than 2 weeks now. And I'll tell you, I'm impressed with what he's got going on. He, I think, is a really great ambassador to the community. He's doing some cool things that we'll talk about. And I felt like he might be able to pass this interview with a little bit of good luck and some effort. Please, everyone, welcome James to the show.
Look it up.
Thank you. Now, Secret Invasion is the best show going right now, so get the heck out of here, Joe.
I said it was good. Jeff,
you keep switching.
Guys, all I said was two things. It did not connect with me, and I thought that the Nick Fury Talos relationship, the way they're portraying it on screen, it just feels off. It just something feels off. I'm in it though. I'm in it all the way. I can't wait. There are going to be surprises. I know it. Okay, and I'm in for that. So please, James, you're making a bad first impression to our audience. This is embarrassing.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for having me on because I think I can do this. I'm from Chicago initially, so I think I can handle. I can deal with this co-hosting thing. I host a show called Get to Know You, and it's all about positivity and stuff, and talking about people that are a little, let's say, not known, and they're just collectors or sellers. So they're fantastic people. Everybody's got amazing stories, so I tried to highlight that. So, yeah.
So before we get into the interview, because you may not make it past that, just is there anything you want to kind of promote? Because obviously you definitely put like the community on your back. You have a nice following on Instagram. You do a lot of interviews and things like that. Is there anything you want to kind of promote or talk further about that? Where our audience can find you? Because this is terrible. We don't have a banner of your. I know what it is. Hold on, but yeah, let us know. What do we got?
That's okay. I mean, last second stuff here. Tomorrow night I'm actually interviewing Diving Comics. He's a veteran and he's an IG seller and a great part of the community. Actually got to know you guys through a great interview with Kate. Mm-hmm. She was a phenomenal guest and. Go ahead.
Let me just say this because this is one of those chance encounters that could only happen in a community like this. Kate, who's in the chat right now, hops into my live sales and grabs some awesome DC books from me on a pretty regular basis. And from getting to know her via the internet through those claim sales, I was following her, and she had posted that she was going to be a guest on James's Get to Know You segment. And I had never seen him. I wasn't following him at the time, but I found my way hopping from there and watching some of his other stuff. And I was like, we got to have this guy on the show. So
you went down the rabbit hole
too much, but yeah, exactly. Down the rabbit hole. That's how you end up following a bunch of people.
So, by the way, talking about following, let's follow at Comic Uprising. James, if you want to, we'll do this for you, actually. We haven't done this for a while. If you don't get at least 5 more followers by the end of this show, even if you don't make it as a co-host, we are going to cancel the canon forever. So y'all better be following James. At least 5 more followers. So James, let us know how many followers you have right now, if you can.
I'm checking right now.
Right around 11,000. I know I just passed it. So
Woo.
Okay.
So it's going to be hard because the way Instagram shows it, that you don't see it as easy, once you pass that 10K thing.
Oh,
So,
yeah. You're in the nosebleed numbers up there. That's nice.
Yeah, exactly. It's feeling that way. So
all right, we'll continue the canon. Just we trust the audience here to do the right thing. Please follow James because we have no way of tracking it. All right, so James,
hold on. If he doesn't pass the interview, you can go unfollow him after the show. That's
fine. Unfollow him. Yeah, we better have at least 20 unfollows.
Yep.
James, are you ready for what you're about to experience? I don't know if you are.
I'm a little sweaty since you had me waiting so long, and I had to use the bathroom. So yeah, maybe I think I'm ready. Let's go.
One way to find out. Joe, take it away.
Yeah. So, James, you mentioned, you live in South Carolina now, but as a native of Chicago.
Time out, Joe. I'm going to pull up the picture here. Okay. So you can reference it.
This is important. As a native of Chicago, in just 1 or 2 sentences, you don't have to go all out with this, but in 1 or 2 sentences, please defend that thing that you call pizza.
A beautiful.
No.
That's wrong.
No.
Guys, that's wrong.
He said beautiful.
No, it's definitely not. I mean, look at this atrocity. It's cheese with sauce on top. Like, seriously, who needs this in their life?
It should be against the law.
Wow.
It really should. I mean, like, Pete, you could suffocate with all of that cheese.
You might die. I've heard that it's responsible for at least 28 deaths a year.
Ridiculous. You guys are just softies because it's not just cheese with sauce. Listen to this. First off, have you ever ate one? Either of you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It actually has the regular pizza layer with an extra layer on.
Yeah, thank you. That's not true at all. Not true.
It is a pizza pie.
It's a bowl of dough with cheese and sauce on this. I didn't know this. I didn't know that Chicago pizza would get in the end the canon.
Come on, man, my family's from Chicago, so y'all
last show, guys. Last show.
All right, what are we gonna do here? We're at an impasse.
No,
on this one.
This is the worst. Ready? My own wife. Personally,
draw those divorce papers up.
You can't handle. Right. You guys just can't handle it.
All right, we got to bring James back.
Yeah.
The wife spoke. The
wife did speak. Yeah.
So,
man,
just saying. I mean, come on. And you think that it does anything? I mean, I'm fit. I mean, I ate that shit.
South Carolina. You don't have the access to it like you once did.
That's true.
But my entire childhood I did.
Listen, man, I see you out there doing those like Tough Mudder events. I scrolled back enough to see those. I know you're active.
You're not supposed to see that.
All right. So this is a tough one here. We're gonna move on to the next question because anyways.
I think that was a cheap shot, guys. I don't know.
Well, Chris stuck up for you, okay? Which I was surprised. I know Chris has Chicago roots. I didn't think he had bad taste. Moving on.
Listen,
all right, so next question. We're going on to the topic of sports here. And we're actually taking into account where you're from and where you live now. Which team has disappointed you the most? The Bears or the Panthers?
Bears.
The Bears?
Bears, 100%.
Why?
I have never been a Bears fan.
Oh, wait a minute. What? Explain yourself.
Explain myself? Are you kidding? Since 85? Come on. How can you have been a Bears fan? No, that's for my brother.
We're Eagles fans, right?
I don't like this answer.
I don't either because you've got to root for your home teams.
It's not about that. It's not about that. Here's the thing. The Bears, we know the Bears are bad. We expect the Bears to be bad. So you shouldn't be disappointed when the Bears do bad. The Panthers had a chance. They've been to 2 Super Bowls in the last 10 or 15 years. And they lost both of them. And they've been to the playoffs a number of times as well. And out of the playoffs, they had the potential So therefore, I think the Panthers is the right answer because there was something there to be disappointed about, rather than the Bears, which you just gotta expect a loss. It's like being a Jets fan.
That's interesting.
Go ahead.
I'm kind of neutral on this one.
Mike. This is a great idea. Make him do the Super Bowl shuffle to come back. James, are you willing?
No.
All right.
No.
All right. Final question here. You've already been bumped off twice, but here we go. Let's see.
I'm a terrible host.
So the last question is, we talked about you doing your community spotlight, get to know you, where you interview members of the comic book community. We think that's phenomenal. That's why we brought you on this show. But the question for you is that which comic book canon co-host, which one of us three, myself, Jeff, and Chris, would you bring on the show first? Which one would you choose?
Chris.
It's the wrong answer.
That is the wrong answer. The only correct answer in this case is, wow, all three of you are just so great. The only way I could pick was using a random number generator on the internet in order to pick someone and not have to go through that trial and trepidation to pick. He just
It's only
said
fair.
Chris like that.
No hesitation either. No hesitation.
You shouldn't have hated on the pizza.
Chris has made a new best friend tonight, by the way, and it makes me mad. I'm a little jealous.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do, guys? Chris, you obviously have an affinity for James. You're gonna. I know what you're gonna vote for. What are we gonna do? Are we gonna let James back on?
How about this? How about I give him I'm gonna give him a kind of a what's the word, like a do or die question.
Okay, let's do it. I like that idea. Here we go.
Jeff, Jeff in the private chat's trying to scold me on football knowledge, but they're called the Carolina Panthers for a reason because they practice. Hold on, they practice in South Carolina and play in North Carolina.
All right, I didn't know they practice. I didn't know that they practice.
They are a Carolina unity team.
All right, my bad. But you notice I did it in the private chat, not in front of everybody. Our 22 million people watching. Anyways, Chris, do or die. Here we go.
All right, James. So here we go. I'm not too sure. What type of music you're into. You listen to any hip hop at all?
Some.
Okay. All right. So I gotta ask you with some knowledge here. Who is the best rapper from Chicago?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a good question, man. That's a good question. Oh, man.
Like a softball, like a toss up here. That was not it.
I could give you some options, but
yeah, throw some. I do need some options on this one because I'm from Nas and Dr. Dre and all that.
I have my answer. I didn't realize this person was.
So, we got Twista, Kanye West, Common, or Polo G.
Ooh, see, I like Common. I like Common a lot.
All right.
So I'm going with that one.
That's
I like this guy.
As soon as I Googled Chicago rappers, because I wasn't quite sure. I knew Kanye off the top of my head.
I didn't Common. I tossed back and forth. Was he actually from Chicago? Because he did a lot of producing elsewhere. So
yeah.
The only answer that I wouldn't have taken, and I'm not even a Kanye hater, but if you would have said Kanye, man, I would.
Yeah.
I would have buzzed myself, man.
I
just walked the hell off.
Yeah, I didn't know you were going to list Common because I thought it was too on the nose, but that would have been my pick as well.
Yeah.
James, you made it. Congratulations. You are moving on to become a guest co-host of Comic Book Canon. This show is as much yours as it is ours. However, you have extra responsibility. You will be determining the Fresh from the Comic Shop semifinalists this week. You will also have another added responsibility that we'll tell you in a little bit later. Nobody else has had this one before either. Nobody. So there you go. How do you feel about that? Give us your answer.
It's like the spider tingles all over. It's good.
That's too much information, honestly. Oh, let's say hello to some people here. We got Gary's Comics and Movies, who likes New York style pizza. You're right about that. Pope of Chili Town, aka Mike. We got Fat Dad Comics. We got Cat Char. We got Spider Dude. Time out. I know you brought this up, Joe, but you don't ever have to apologize for being late. You don't ever have to apologize for not even showing up. We're just happy that you're here and you do watch.
I love your little tag thing too. Ramita.
Yeah.
Yep. R.I.P. everybody. We got Josh's Comics, who knows all the spoilers to Secret Invasion because that's all he does. He spoils movies, he spoils TV shows for himself because he loves doing it. And he's literally like, I got some info if you want it. No, we do not want it. We got Mark Lanicartoni Trombetta, one of the greatest guys. Unfortunately, he's a Cowboys fan. We have Bronzeville Comics. Bronzeville, a.k.a. We don't have Chet on tonight. He's on vacation. We'll probably find out where next week. We got
Gary, Indiana. That's where he went on vacation.
Yeah, he likes hanging out in Gary, Indiana. Yeah. We have Gary, Indiana. Does everybody know that song?
No.
All right, I'll sing it later. We haven't licensed the song, so I don't know if I can actually. Maz, Paz, Leather, Dr. Frankenstein, what are you doing right now? What is your wife doing right now?
She's definitely in the garage.
Okay. Jordan Nori, we got, who else do we have? We have lots of people here. This is fun. Fun stuff on a Sunday night with you lovely people. Goonish Lurker is in the house. Swaggle House is in the house. We got Raw Dog Comics and Into Oblivion. I don't know. Is this going to stick, guys?
Canaanites, right? Yeah.
Is it good? James, you as a newbie here, do you like Canaanites for people that watch the show?
Yeah.
All right. It's happening. Welcome, Canaanites. Who else do we have? Who else? That's about it. 360 Comics is in the house. All right. This is fun stuff, everybody. All right. So, right now we do a little thing. We do a little thing. It's a segment, and it's called it's where we ask questions to a certain member on the show. It's not me. It's not James. It's not Chris. What you're going to do is you're going to ask Joe. That was excellent, guys. That was excellent, James.
I think that was the third best one that we've ever done.
Probably third or fourth. Definitely, we've been doing at least 28 of them, right?
Yeah,
so, anyways, now is your time to ask Joe any kind of comic-related question that you have for him and us, and we're also gonna jump in as well. Right now, we don't see any. Jesus, Josh
telling us about the end credit scenes.
He has the end credit scene of the Marvels.
We haven't even gotten a full trailer of that movie yet. Stop
with that, man. Just enjoy it. Anyways, so yeah, now's the time to ask Joe anything, and we do have a question.
There we go.
If you did a podcast talking comics, who would be your first guest and why?
Oh man, that's a tough one because I've had guests on my YouTube channel. I've had guests, we've had a bunch of guests on here. Jim from Bronzeville Comics, whenever I think of like someone to go to from the comic book community about anything that is like history related or any question that I have that might be a little bit more obscure, that guy knows it. If you're not following Bronzeville Comics on YouTube,
who has been a guest. Guess he's in a lot on the canon.
Yeah. I've done some collaborative videos with him, and he just is a wealth of knowledge. Someone who's been reading comics and collecting them since the early 70s, which, that's longer than I've been alive. Jeff was, in his 20s back in the early 70s.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, he's just a go-to for me for sure.
Your wife has a different opinion, but okay.
Yeah.
Y'all should be following Jim. Bronzeville Comics. He is also a wonderful human being as well. I met him personally at one of those comic book conventions. Fat Dad Comics. Have you read the Dan Slott Spider-Man series? And what do you think about the last couple of issues?
So I am very behind on my current reading. I've read plenty of Dan Slott's Spider-Man because he's been on and off of Spider-Man stuff for a while now. But I have read a little bit of the Spider-Boy thing because that intrigued me. What I have read, which was basically since Spider-Boy has arrived. So I think we're I guess I read issue 7 and 8. So two issues so far. I really like the character of Spider-Boy. I know that he's this modern hype character, and people are going crazy over him, and there's all that FOMO stuff. That put aside, it's a cool concept. It's very similar to Sentry, who was a character that they introduced in 2000, who's still around and has been rumored for the MCU. Do I think that this character is the next big thing, the next Miles Morales? No, probably not. But is he a cool character? The concept of this character having always existed, everyone having forgot him. That's cool. And we're even seeing something similar in the movies right now with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, erasing everyone's memory of him. So I personally, Dan Slott's a master of the art. Let's be real. Whether it's Spider-Man or She-Hulk, he's done a great job. I'm gonna keep reading it. That's all I'd say.
Chris, I saw you it looked like somebody was running nails down a chalkboard just now. Your thoughts?
Well, I haven't read the Spider-Man series, and I picked up the second prints because I was picking up the first few issues on my previews orders, but then I stopped buying comics. I do want to start reading it. I'm still a little behind in the ASM run right now too, though. But quite honestly, Dan Slott is in essence to blame for where Spider-Man started going wrong. But now here's the thing, though, because I don't know if I could sit here and blame it on Dan Slott alone. And it goes back to Joe's first questions, like, who would you have on a pod? Now that I'm thinking about it, if I did a podcast or even on my channel, Dan Slott, if you're watching, because, everyone around the world watches Comic Book Canon, I want to have a conversation with you because we are now 16 years post One More Day, Brand New Day. And nothing. Now I'm like 4 issues behind on ASM, so don't spoil it if something's finally happened.
Nope.
Okay. 16 years and we don't have any result. And Dan Slott was responsible for 11, 12 of those years. And while I think I understand what they were doing, this actually goes back to a video that I just did about what's going to save new comic books and get more readership involved and all this. And it's like looking at how we need to age these legacy characters. And I'm not saying age them like they used to age them. For the first 30 plus years of Marvel characters since the 60s, they on average characters aged about 1 year every 3 years or so, if you follow it. So they stopped aging Spider-Man with Brand New Day. And it's like, well, we got to take him back to his essence. And then when that didn't seem to work, let's make him the new Tony Stark. And who was writing all of these things? Dan Slott. And then, they killed him. I mean, the Doc Ock Superior Spider-Man story wasn't actually horrible. I don't know, man. It's like Dan Slott is like a decent writer. He could tell cohesive stories and, he keeps you entertained as you're reading, but there's a lack of payoff. And he's not the only one with this lack of payoff. So maybe it goes beyond Dan Slott. Maybe it's an editor thing. I don't know.
James, your thoughts?
Well, I think to Chris's point, I agree with that. But we kind of just saw in the DC world with King, he got brutalized in the Batman run that he did, but then he did the Supergirl thing. And everyone's like, oh my God, the Supergirl thing now that James Gunn is doing it. I think Slott's been on the book too long.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
I think that's been my issue with that. Like when the 900 series or the 901 came out, I was done. I was done with him coming back. So I think he's a great writer, but I do think it's the industry all the way around, and the fresh new writers need to. I think that's a general. When you look, there's a ton of new art coming out, but the writers, where the hell are they in general? You know, especially in Marvel, particularly, they're struggling. I feel like too many are just doing all the books, and you could say that about the 70s and 80s, the same thing. But man, we've got this comic world's blowing up. There's a lot of thoughts, a lot of people.
Oh yeah,
I see them.
So what's different about like a Chris Claremont on X-Men for 16 years and Dan Slott on Spider-Man? Like there's definitely a difference because Chris Claremont, you look back, that's legendary with him and John Byrne, what he did. And
I think that's it right there. There's not an artist hooked with him. Right?
John Byrne wasn't with him forever. And here's the thing about Claremont. His ideas kept coming out good. Like, sure, his stuff with Cockrum and Byrne are phenomenal and timeless. But after that, he introduced Forge. He introduced Mr. Sinister. He introduced Madeline Pryor, Sabretooth in Iron Fist. He introduced Gambit and Jubilee, two characters that are absolutely legacy characters at this point that have been used over and over and over again. And, you know, Gambit was what, 15 issues, less than 15 issues before he was off the run. So that was in his 16th year, or sorry, 15th year probably of doing that run. And he was still putting out good content. And unfortunately, what happens a lot, and this happens with musicians putting out album after album after album, quality goes down. It's just the way it is with a lot of artists that have to do it eventually to survive. You know, it becomes too much of a job. It's not as much of a passion project anymore. Go ahead, James.
And I think you're kind of hitting on something that even in the movies, the biggest problem that we have as a society, I think, is that we have things to compare it to. We have now officially, finally, a history of comics. We have, Stan Lee's tribute thing that just came out on Disney Plus. That was pretty cool. I suppose I wish I dove a little deeper, especially in the 90s on that one. But regardless, I think we critique the hell out of it, and there's so much bad. And that's what I try to personally flip. I flip the script a lot of times when I'm talking with people. It's like, okay, fine, it sucks, and all this stuff, but let's try to do better then, and I don't know. And I think it's interesting that, we're in an industry that has, just like the music industry, is just so much. That's why you see so much remakes, and, there's no new stuff. And even if the new stuff it's relevant for like fucking 30 seconds, and it sucks. So
I'm going to wrap this up real quick because, again, I know I understand the criticisms with Dan Slott, but and he also seems like a master marketer too, as well, especially with what's happened with Spider-Boy. But for me personally, I'm very interested in who Spider-Boy is, just the way it was brought up, because I love the Sentry's story. I love the idea of the Sentry, of how they brought him in as he was always in this universe, but he had everybody forget, just like in No Way Home. So I'm excited to see what happens with Spider-Boy. And one other thing I do want to say before we move on to the next question is, we didn't say hi to Dan De La Torre. I know he's here. I don't know why I missed his missed him in the chat. Anyways, just want to say what's up to Dan De La Torre. All right, next question here. Are you ready, Joe?
Yeah, hit me with it.
Do you have to crack your knuckles or anything like that?
No, my knuckles are cracked, thanks.
Okay, good. Here we go. It's from our good friend and EGS president Tony Trombetta. Joe, have you ever bought any collections that you regret buying?
Yes and no. I'm pretty diligent, and I try, as far as I mentioned FOMO before with Spider-Boy, there is FOMO with buying collections too. There is the person who wants to acquire every collection they find, no matter the price, no matter the content, and you can't do that. I've had to walk away from some collections, and I've done it plenty of times, whether the person was asking too much or if it was, just too much quantity that I really wouldn't have, helped out too much financially, like a big bulk collection. But as far as like actually regretting, there were two occasions that are coming up in my head. One time I bought some books and the guy straight up told me, he's like, yeah, some of them got a little bit wet. I threw away the wet ones, blah, 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 blah. And as it turned out, a lot of the comics that were in there had also gotten wet. One was actively still wet in the bag. Like there was, no joke, I like squeezed the bag with the comic in it, like wrung it out and water was dripping out. And I ended up throwing away almost that whole collection. I paid $60 for it. It wasn't anything special, but yeah, that was a bummer. And then one time recently, I FOMO'd a little bit on this one. Basically, I had gone to look at a collection and I said, I'm going to take some time to look through it. It was a ton of boxes, 30 something. And the guy told me that he was like, well, you better be quick because there's some other people coming. And I kind of thumbed through things and I was like, all right, I'll take it. No, I didn't lose money on that collection, but I put in a lot of hours and didn't even double up. So for that reason, that collection was a bust per se. It wasn't worth the hourly rate that I got from it. I didn't lose money, but I wish I had not bought that collection. And that was really the only one that I really wish that I had not bought.
Chris, James, I don't know if you have anything to add. I don't buy collections like Chris and Joe do. James, I'm not sure if that's what you.
I buy collections all the time. That's one of the big things. And right behind this camera, there's boxes all over. So
any crazy stories?
I buy for a different reason. I don't buy for the flipping value. I buy for the hunt of, wow, I haven't seen that book ever, type thing, and I'm curious to read it. And I also buy it, and I know, I'm sorry, I'm just going to get you guys sentimental, but I do buy it for kids and stuff to give back. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I know. It's my gig. It's my thing. I've been fortunate enough to be able to, and plus I love the smile of somebody that's hustling, and they're like $50 and someone's haggling them, and they're just, you see the disappointment on their face. And I'm like, dude, I'll just take it for the $1,000 or whatever it may be, and I might get it back. I might not. I don't know, but that smile does everything for me. So.
That's valuable right there. Chris.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
You had one crazy story, I think. I remember it like a couple years ago, right?
Me?
Yeah, it was like it was a Craigslist, and then she asked you to move her couch or something like that.
Oh, really?
He has no idea what you're talking about.
I swear to God, maybe I'm making this up, but you went to go check out some comic books, and it was not worth your while. But then the person, I don't know what it was. They asked you to help move their couch into a truck or something like that.
Oh shoot, I think, man, my memory. Should I
tell the story? I mean, I guess the fact that.
Let me just say real quick. Out of every collection I bought, I only regret what I paid on some of it, and because of that, it's allowed me, like Joe was saying, to know that sometimes you got to walk away. Because you can't be too nice, you can't be the good guy, and you got actually walking away respects both parties. It respects the selling party and you, because you're not, you're sticking to what will work for you, and you're allowing them to move on to another potential buyer that will work better for them. But I'm interested in getting my memory jogged here.
Yeah. Okay. You went to go check out a collection. I think it had to have been Craigslist because, anyways, you went to check it out. It was really shady when you got there. You looked through the collection. It was not what you were looking for. I mean, you were not interested. You're like, I'm cool. I'm going to pass. They're like, okay, well, do you mind if you help us move this couch into that truck over there because we're selling it? And you're like, yeah, I have to go.
Oh, yes.
Ding, ding, ding.
That's when I went to the it was like a storage unit. And
Yes.
No, what had happened was I was communicating with the guy and he sent me pictures and he was like, this is what I have. Yeah, he was like, come over now. And then I go over there and he's like, oh no, we sold that yesterday. And we don't have any more comics. And I specifically asked them, like, do you have more comics? And they were like, yes. Yeah. And then and then he started showing me all pretty cool. He had really cool Star Wars stuff, but that's not the point. But then, yeah, and it was like there was an older couple, and then the wife was there, and yeah, they freaking were trying to move this couch, and I'm like, oh my, this is just ridiculous. Yes, I remember now.
All right, we'll have to reenact that story one day. But all right, one more quick question because we've been spending too much time on Joe. Are you going to any upcoming cons? If so, who are you most excited to meet?
Yeah, so I'm doing a little small Pennsylvania convention in 2 weeks at Renninger's Market in Kutztown, Pennsylvania. That one, there's no like guests or anything, it's just a small local comic show. The next big one I'm going to is Terrificon. The great Chris Claremont's going to be there. I might get some X-Men books signed by him. But honestly, I more go to conventions, less for the artists and writers, and more for like hanging out with people in the community. That's more fun for me. I will say that at Terrificon, I have a piece of art on hold that I'll be buying from Chris Capagna, who I'm very excited about. He's the current artist on Ghost Rider. He's been around for a while, but he's got a gig with Marvel now. He's moving up in the world, doing really awesome with that. Current Ghost Rider artist, and I have a original piece of original art that I'm gonna be picking up from him.
There you go.
Locked up at Philly Fan Expo, and I'll be getting that in just a couple weeks. So that's my next big one, and then fall is Super Jersey Comic Expo, where I'll be set up as a seller, and then Baltimore Comic Con, which is the best one of the year, which I'm not set up at. I just go there as a buyer.
James, Chris, quick cons in your future.
New York. I think I have that. The tickets I hope to have. I'm on a waiting list, but I should get them.
Yeah,
That's fun. All right, Chris, you're coming out from New York. I think you said earlier in the episode.
I wish. I don't have any plans to go to any cons. I do want to, though. I know, Jeff, you and I in the past have talked about this just with the canon, but I would love to get out to cons and do some interviews and bring it to my channel, but I'm just not there yet. I hope to get there at some point soon.
All right, and there you go. I don't usually go to cons. Maybe I'll go to, when is Terrificon again? What's the dates?
Terrificon is I think it's the last weekend of July 20-something, 20-something.
Yeah, I have my daughter. I'm not going to be able to do that. So
Just bring her, or just give her an iPad and leave her alone for 8 to 12 hours.
yeah, in the corner, sure. 7-year-old with an iPad, 8 to 12 hours. That's okay. You're definitely not a parent. All right, moving on. This right here, we have an amazing segment. We have all of our segments. You guys are interactive with, and it's a wonderful community thing building that we do here. Getting to know everybody, so much fun. But there are some questions that everybody has about certain books, and we call this segment props or flops. That's right. Chris runs this, and the data he brings, the detail he brings, the attention he brings to this topic, y'all love it because y'all keep submitting. What you need to do is upload any comic to Instagram that you have investment interest in. Use the hashtag props or flops. Be sure to tag us. Tell us why this book interests you. Tell us how much you paid for it. We'll break it down on the show, live on the show. And Chris, nobody does it better. Is that a James Bond song? Nobody does it better.
Man, didn't know we were on American Idol.
Right? I've never taken a singing lesson either, not once. So Chris, are you ready to do this?
Yeah, let's actually, man, I should have brought this up, but I got to get these IG posts from those that submitted. Let's see. Okay, we're ready.
Okay, which one do you want first? Or should I
Let's
surprise you?
let's do Mark Lineker.
Ooh, this is gonna be a cool book. Oh yeah.
Yeah, all right. Mark Lineker. We got Digimon #1. First Digimon comic. Props or flops. This book was released in 2000 from Dark Horse. Mark says, I picked this up off of a street vendor along with the newsstand Thunderbolts #1 for $5 each. Well, we're going to be talking about Thunderbolt newsstands in just a moment here. Not regarding this. So he picked this book up for $5. In all honesty, I don't know much at all about the Poke, Yugi, Digi, whatever. But video games seem hot properties now. So what sayeth thou, comic book canon? All right, let's look at this. Let's break this down. We got a purchase price of $5. Okay. Oh, by the way, this is a stock image, but I zoomed in on Mark's book, and I did the best that I could. It's got a nice little blunted bottom right corner. It's a white cover, so it's very hard to see in just the image what condition it's in. But I mean, just from what I saw, I don't think this book can be any more than maybe a very fine near mint. I'm going to say in the very fine range, just with that blunt that I saw. So we got a recent sale in a very fine range of $7. Last near mint sale, raw, of course, was for $11, but this was about a year and a half ago, kind of, in that COVID boom. So I again, not too much moving on the market. You do have 20 books graded on the census. The last direct sale for a CGC 9.6 was $107, and that was January of this year. Now, you did have a 9.8 newsstand. Keep in mind, this is a 2000s newsstand, so a very small percentage of the market. Sold for $440, and ironically, that sold yesterday.
Hmm.
If you look at eBay, a good amount of these books raw are up for sale. But asking prices ranging from $10 to $30. And if you look at the buy it nows, there's not many selling. So there was one that did sell for like $4.99. All right. Props or flops? Well, let's look at the census thing first. And I've told you guys this before. I've talked about this. Oh my God, there's 20 on the census. It must be rare, scarce. Guys, this is just a situation, in my humble opinion, where I believe there's only 20 on the census because nobody has cared to really send this book in to get graded. It's just the simple fact of a matter. Look, Pokemon is huge. Digimon is not Pokemon. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm some big expert. I honestly don't know much at all about Digimon, but hearing the name here and there, okay? I can't sit and act like I know. But what I know, or what I'm taking in from looking at how this book is moving, is that there is not a lot of people that collect comics that care about spending any money on this book. The people that do, I'm going to have a hunch at, or I'm going to assume, hypothetically, or excuse me, I'm going to hypothesize, taking in all my information. It's not just a blank assumption, that's not educated. I'm going to assume that the people that do care about this book, that do spend money on this book, are people that have some type of personal connection or nostalgia to Digimon. Maybe they collect comics too, but that's going to be a very, very small sample size of a larger market. Now, a 9.8 newsstand selling for $440, you're like, well, Chris, I mean, that's big money. Well, again, it could just be one or two people or a few people that are enough of the market where there's hardly any of these books that pop up that are willing to spend that money. And here's another thing. There's not even enough information out there to say that that's a fair market value. There's not, because there's no other sale that I saw. So that could just be, again, one sale as an outlier, where if we get another 9.8 newsstand that goes up tomorrow, who knows if it'll even sell for half of that? I don't know. Now, you could look at this in a very practical sense and say, well, Mark paid only $5 for this book. If you put it up for sale, there's a recent very fine that sold for $7. Maybe he can actually make a couple bucks off of it. But I'm not going to give a book props just because maybe he can make a couple bucks off of it. I'm also going to look at long term. This book is already 23 years old. I just don't, not only do I not see a Digimon comic book collecting market growing, actually seeing it possibly fading. I don't know though. It could stay the same. There is not enough evidence here to tell me that while even it's very low risk, because $5 is nothing to a lot of people, I have to give this book flops because there's nothing that's telling me that 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, this book is going to grab the attention of enough people on a market to garner a long-term return on investment.
Yeah, this is a tough one. James, we're going to have you kind of give us your thoughts on this as well. Don't forget, audience, this is a community segment here. We want your thoughts on this too. Let Mark Leneker know what you think about this as well. James, your thoughts on this first Digimon comic book. Give it to us.
Oh, well, boy, it's hard to tell someone that it's a $3 book as it sits. That's how I feel about it. That it's and I don't, and unless if it's paired with a bunch of other gaming books in a lot, you're not going to get a lot more. So sending it into CGC, that to me is a waste of time. That's for sure. But to your point of it fading, 100%. I got a 7-year-old who absolutely loves Pokemon, and she's going crazy. Digimon, what's that? She doesn't even know what that is. So it's nostalgia only to me, and I have a ton of Digimon cards that I've never been able to move. So I'm gonna take that. So yeah, it's a flop for me.
I'm going to jump in real quick because mine's going to be like, I was going to say the exact same thing James said. I have a 7-year-old daughter. She knows all about Pokemon. I've never heard her say Digimon once, right? I remember Digimon back in the day, the little digital virtual pets or whatever they were. But where's Digimon now? Like, what is, and I'm going to have to say flops too, with the caveat that I don't know much about anime or this kind of genre. So, Joe, you're going to close it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna triple disagree here. No, I don't think it's that's a huge score. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying this book's gonna go to $100. Don't get me wrong. This book will probably never ever be $100, even 50 years in the future or whatever. But I think that it's the $5 that Mark spent on this. I can tell you, I've owned this book before, and I've you said there's a corner blunt, my copy was near mint that I had sold, but I sold the near mint one for $10. That being said, Digimon has been around and is still around. This wasn't like a flash in the pan in 1999, like a lot of people think it was, because that's when it was at the height of its popularity, but Pokemon beat it out. That is absolute fact. It will never be Pokemon, hands down. It still exists, though. There's still a current running Digimon television show. There still are Digimon movies every few years.
Okay.
That being said, it is not, and it is never going to be Pokemon. Does it have a chance to reclaim some of that market? Yeah, maybe, but Pokemon's always going to be number one. I don't think anyone has any discrepancy about any of that. But here's the thing. Considering it has still continued to be a television show and a movie over the last 24 years since the show premiered in 99, and the handheld things were a little bit before that, there are going to be people that are buying this book for nostalgia purposes into the future. And that's including people that are getting into Digimon now or the last couple years or even 10 years ago that are going to buy it that aren't maybe necessarily in the market for it at this time. So for that reason, I think it is very, very borderline on this one. Very borderline, but because of the low purchase price and the low risk, because it's still a number one first appearance, it's not really going to go below the couple dollars that it's at right now, but it does have potential to grow in the future. I'm going to give this a hairline props.
All right. Well, the flops wins out. Okay. But I like that you're being your own person and not following the sheep. Although we all speak from our own experiences.
I'm also younger than, I don't know, James, I don't know how old you are, but I'm 33. So I was around when Digimon like was popular.
I got you beat by a decade, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not that much younger than us at all. Not at all. But Mark Lineker wants to make it known, it may be mostly floss, but I've got truffle fries. All right. Okay, he wins tonight. All right, next up, Christopher. Here we go. This guy likes the Thunderbolts. We've mentioned him before. We want to know in the community what you guys think as well. Be sure to put props or flops. I mean, we got 20 million people watching right now. Somebody's got to have an opinion other than Ken. Or KJ, I'm sorry. All right, here we go. What do we got, Chris?
All right, guys. We got a double in here. Nori Jordan. He's been waiting a while for this one, too. All right. Nori Jordan states, a few weeks ago, I posted a props or flops with 2 books. We weren't able to cover those, by the way. So basically, he went and they were posted raw, and he went and got them graded. So now we're doing this one. But yeah, he says, I think it's better to redo it now that they've come back from CGC. I have actively been searching for a Thunderbolts #1 9.8 CGC newsstand to replace the one I sadly had to sell. One night, I was searching eBay and saw that there was an auction about to end that had a Hulk 449, which is first appearance of Thunderbolts, and a Thunderbolts 0 through 3, which included a #1 newsstand. I almost passed this auction up because the books were described as reader copies. Interesting. I examined the pictures, and the books looked in great condition. I took a chance as the only bidder and won at the cost of $95. That's for the lot. With eBay credit that I had, my out-of-pocket cost was only $20. I'm going to talk about that eBay credit in a minute. When the books arrived, I was amazed that both Hulk 449 and Thunderbolts #1 were in amazing condition. I quickly sent them out to CGC, and hopes that one of them might be a 9.8. After 5 weeks, the books returned, and I was beyond happy to see the Thunderbolts #1 newsstand came back as a 9.8, the Hulk 449 a 9.4. With the cost of the books, pressing, so we got them pressed, and CGC, I paid $90 total for these books. What do you think, props or flops? Okay, Jordan, first off, I'm going to say you didn't just pay $90 for these books. I'm going to add that credit because I'm going to assume the credit was because of a purchase that you got refunded. It actually doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where the credit came from. I know for you as a buyer, you didn't have to take the extra cash out of your pocket, but looking at what you actually put on the market for it, I have to calculate the credit in. It's only fair, okay? Because anybody else doing this, if I did the same thing you did every step of the way, I didn't have, what was it? $75 worth of eBay credit. So that $75 would have been cash. All right. So that's why down here we have total costs. Your total cost altogether, including the eBay credit, was $165. So that's how we're going to look at this. Okay. Let's break this down. Hulk 449, first appearance of Thunderbolts, came back a 9.4. Current fair market value for this book, which, again, guys, you got to, books don't move like Whoppers, or Big Macs. It's a small sample size that you take the rolling average from. So it's always a moving average that can change from day to day, week to week. But right now we're sitting at about $145. This book is down a bit from, a little bit maybe just due to the market and the economy, a little bit due because of, we got the Winter Soldier show showing us all that. And now we're kind of moved on from that. So we're kind of waiting, but it hasn't gone down an extreme amount. I think, at its peak there, it wasn't peaking that much over $200 in a 9.4. So it hasn't been a horrible drop considering the market. Thunderbolts #1 in a 9.8. Now remember, this is a newsstand copy. Later 90s newsstand, not extremely rare, but I think when did this book come out? 90 was it 99? I think
yeah, around then.
Yeah, because I think the Hulk came out in 97. So,
Yep.
Somewhere around there. Current fair market value on this in a newsstand is sitting at about 165. The last one sold though over 6 months ago at 157. So right around that fair market value, but we haven't seen one sell in over 6 months. So we don't know if it would drop a little bit, gain a little bit. You don't know. That's why it's tough to really gauge fair market value when books don't move consistently. All right. Total cost here is $165 for Jordan Nori. Now, if Jordan was to sell both of these books today at the estimated current fair market value of looking at what these books have been doing on the market, his potential return on investment would be roughly $145. So looking at it just like that, I mean, you can say, well, that's a props because he's, almost doubling his money here. But you got to take into other considerations that what I like to consider is not just what he would get if you tried to sell him now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Considering all those things, and I'm going to give it a little context there too, I am going to give this a props all the way around. I do believe that in 5 years from now, these books are still going to give Jordan a return on investment that's going to be a substantial return from what he paid. 10 years from now as well. Now, I do think it's going to be tough because of a couple things. I think we are still seeing a downturn in a lot of the market. And if there's no talk of the Thunderbolts because of certain stuff being postponed because of the writer's strike, whatever, I think these books can, in the short term, drop a little more. Now that 9.8 newsstand, maybe not so much because it is a late 90s newsstand in 9.8. But once we get the talk coming again for the Thunderbolts film, or if we see more, whatever, hints in some of the upcoming shows, et cetera, even in this market, even in this tumultuous market, we're going to see more eyes on these books and more people wanting to put money out for these books. When we get the trailer, boom, 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 they're going to be back up again, no matter the market. But then the movie happens, depending on whatever, is it one movie and done? We could see these drop again. But I think we're going to be setting new floors along the way. So, and then, long term, they're going to gradually, slowly increase again, even if we see some ebb and flow. So Jordan, I know you love your Thunderbolts. Definitely props all the way around for me.
Interesting what you say that we're still going to see new floors on this book. James, or these books. James.
Yeah, I'm agreeing in the sense that it was so dynamic when it first came out. Like Thunderbolts was something that was exciting during the time. So, and it's got a dynamic, especially that number one in newsstand, really hard to find. Great find, by the way. And then secondly, it's a dynamic cover. It's actually being, constantly, referred to and copied. And it's just one of those kind of like the X-Men versus Avengers cover style things that's just beautiful. So outside of what the market will do, these will always hold value just because even from an artist standpoint, they're gorgeous covers. So I think that they will hold. And I mean, the movies are going to, of course, help. They're going to go up. So I'm giving it props all day long. So especially at newsstand, I'm like jealous on that one, straight up.
Joe, thoughts?
Well, you guys both gave it props, so I'm going to disagree with. No, I'm just kidding. This is easy props. Easy props. Chris made some really good points about the ebb and flow of the market. We got the announcement a while back, so this has already come down. It's not like it's at a hype point right now. Certainly, like you said, could especially if it gets delayed again, could go down a little bit more. But I think the market has for the most part flattened out. And we're not going to see too much movement on the downward trends. And yeah, there's so much potential. This team has not been introduced ever to the general public. This is not, the Fantastic Four has had movies, and the Avengers, they were a known team, and X-Men obviously have had movies and television shows and stuff like that. This is going to be like the first time that non-comic readers experience these characters. I can't think of the Thunderbolts ever showing up in, I haven't watched too many of like the animated shows from the 90s and 2000s other than X-Men and Amazing Spider-Man, but I don't know of them ever showing up. So I think that there's a lot of potential here. They're good enough, as far as Kevin Feige concerns, to get their own movie. So yeah, let's see where this goes. Props all day.
I gotta say, like, I've never been into this team. I read a little bit on Marvel Unlimited. I just don't. I don't know. It's like maybe it's like a bit outdated or what have you. I just wasn't into it. That being said, that's my personal opinion. And Jordan Norrie epitomizes the absolute insanity of a Thunderbolts fan. Like, he epitomizes it, and I think that goes a long way because they have a hardcore following, which is crazy to me. But one thing, I'm going to give it a props, but one thing I do want to factor in and get your guys' thoughts, it won't be anywhere near the same team in any of these books. You know what I mean?
That doesn't look at Guardians.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. Guardians.
I said I gave it a props. You guys are attacking me, and I feel threatened. And Jordan wants me kicked.
He kicked. It wasn't me. It wasn't me this time. I didn't do it.
I'm back. I'm back. Anyways, that's the only thing I'm going to say. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're all in agreement here. Props
it's a prop. No doubt it's a prop. 100% it's
now. It's a props long term. So.
I do want to acknowledge a couple things. Jordan did say that last sale was his original one that he sold. That sucks. But I'm glad he got one back. And I also want to acknowledge what he said about there's one listed right now for $5.99. Sorry, Jordan. I'm going to say that nobody is going to buy that. Throughout the recent couple of years, there was one that is noted as a $400 sale, but that's questionable. I would like to do some history into that because it's a huge outlier. It is a huge outlier that just sticks out from rolling averages of what even in a newsstand this book ever sold. So I wouldn't even look at that $400 sale that happened like 2 years ago now as a legitimate placeholder even for that time. So I just, yeah, I whoever's, that goes to show it's like people can list books for whatever they want. This book has never hit close to $600. And on average, it's hovered right around where it's at right now. And
Chris, have you ever like put a ceiling to it? Like, if I asked you as a collector right now, what's the ceiling? What do you think in, like, let's say 3 years, a movie is hitting, boom, or I got all the news. What do you think you think it's 250? You think it's 300? Where do you think it's?
That's a good question. I like that. I honestly think so. I believe that with the right FOMO movie hype, we've literally seen $5 books hit $50. Like Frogman. I don't think Frogman hit $50, but it hit over 20. I know that was a dollar bin book every day. And we've seen books triple. Look at what happened with White Vision. That book literally, like, I think, if I don't remember right now off the top of my head, but I really do believe that
the West Coast Avengers one.
Yeah. I think 9.8s were selling for, above 100, a little above, and then it went for above $1,000. It started hitting over 1,000, 1,100. It was crazy. So you got like, 10 times that. I think with this, book, especially the newsstand, once we get a trailer on this, I don't think, call it a ceiling for the temporary point of time. I think this book can easily double. Absolutely. I think it can easily double. I think it could be around that $400. And I think at that time, maybe if there's not many out there and you just get one or two people, if there's one listed for $5.99, maybe someone would buy it for $5.99. But I don't think it's I don't think that is sustainable whatsoever. I think, but I will say this. I'm not going to put a ceiling on this book for like 20 years from now, because that's a whole different ball game when we talk about just the comic hobby in general, because I think the landscape of comic collecting is going to change in 20 years as those kids that, grew up in the 60s and 70s are unfortunately going to, be aging out and passing away. And, but yeah, over the next couple of years, I do think this book has the potential to double or even triple in value specifically from movie hype.
Well said. Well said. Again, jury's still out, but Thunderbolts are going to be a thing here for sure with the announcement from the MCU. That right there wraps up props or flops. One more time, Chris, let's have you close it out real quick. Explain to people how they can get their submission on props or flops.
Yeah, guys, it's been a few weeks since we did one, but keep submitting. Use the hashtag props or flops, but remember hashtag suck on Instagram. We need to create a hashtag sucks. Okay.
Well, yeah, and the only way around it, people, is if you tag us, on the picture, not in the description. Tag us on the picture, tag seriously.
Us on the picture. Yep. Tag me, tag the Cannon, tag Joe. And we will get to them and put them on the show and talk about it. We break down the market. Now, remember, this is very much market analysis, investment reasons, not just because you love the comic book. We want to break down investment, market, and speculation. So, and I do want to let everyone know too, because I think there's a couple out there that are still floating. We will get to yours, guys. Anybody that submits, I stash them away. And I make sure that we get to them, even if it's a few weeks out from when you submitted them. Have patience. Keep coming, watching the show. Yeah.
All right. Again, props or flops. Chris, I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you are going to be working on dinner for the family right now. So you're going to take an early leave.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming you're making a layered lasagna of some sort.
Deep dish pizza.
Actually, tonight is just
deep dish pizza.
No.
Taco salad tonight, man. That's
not bad. You can never go wrong with the taco salad. Can I ask you something? Are you going to have for the meat? Is it beef or is it going to be ground turkey? I love ground turkey.
It is actually ground turkey.
It's healthy.
Yeah, when I do any type of tacos or enchiladas, I like to do shredded chicken. I'll lightly boil the chicken, and then I'll fry it with a little bit of oil and seasoning. I do my best to stay away from red meat. But hey man, if I'm at a barbecue and somebody's got some some prime rib or some ribs, man, I can't help myself. But that's very, very rare. So yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Chris.
That's good to know because I'm ground turkey all the way. Joe had a horrible reaction to that. James, I think, was excited about that, but
I was a horrible reaction. I was like, you guessed it right. That's like
there we go.
I can tell you guessed it right to you fucking suck. They're both the same thing. It's I just can't tell. Anyways, Christopher, you have a good evening. We will see you probably next week. And we're gonna have more props or flops.
Awesome. Yeah, and James, thanks for coming on, man. Repping Chicago, Chi-Town, Chi. Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next week.
All right, Journos Comics saying goodbye. We are going to move on to a little segment that y'all know and love, and James is going to earn his money that we won't pay him right now.
I never get paid for anything, so I'm all good with that. I work for nothing.
Here we go. It's a little segment called What's It, Joe?
I believe that we have deemed this segment fresh from the comic shop.
Fly from the press and salon. That's right. We ask you, the viewers, to send in your fresh gets, and you never disappoint each and every week. That's right. Not only can you submit a comic, but you are also submitting to potentially win a comic through our EGS, our partnership with EGS Comics. Best in the business. They bring something so unique that no other grading service does. We'll get into that in a second. But what you guys need to do, just upload your picture. Hashtag FFTCS. Make sure to tag the Canon. Make sure to tag 360. Make sure to tag Journos because we won't see it. Tag the picture. There's a good chance we won't see it with just the hashtag. Again, fresh gets. What we look for here are, a well-composed shot. Get creative with it. Get artistic. Look like Joe when you're shooting. Oh, and James right there. Look like them. It could be like an outside of the box kind of thinking in terms of what you're shooting. Justin, aka Raising Elm Comics, does a great job with that. Another piece of criteria that we're looking for is unique. Unique doesn't mean $30,000. Unique could be like a book we've never seen before that nobody even knows it's in existence. So we see a few of those with the sketch artists, but there are some other examples. Mark Lineker does a good job with that. Story. This criteria really tug at our heartstrings here because it goes really far. What does this book mean to you? What do you have history with the book? Was it a book you lost in a flood? Does it remind you of a parent or a friend who got you into comic books? Whatever the case may be, tell us about why this book is important to you. We'll share each and every book on this segment that is submitted. However, you can only submit one, and we will pick. It'll be at our discretion to pick which one we want to show. So, with that being said, James, we had a finals this previous week. But before I get into that, the book, the month of June, the book for the month of June was this amazing Green Arrow #1, David Nakayama cover. And again, look at EGS, people. The you have customized labels. Oh shit! Why don't I just do this? I'm just tired. Joe, just call me terrible because I'm just not doing well. EGS Comics. Make sure to put in the code Canon5. Save 5% off your EGS order. Again, these guys are unique in the game. They are part of the community. Tony Trombetta does a fantastic job running this company. He will respond to you immediately. It's not some big conglomerate. Optional customized labels that really makes them stand out. Free graders notes and fast turnaround times. Really great business. Really happy to be partnering with them. And again, we're going to tease something. We're going to have we're going to put fresh from the comic shop EGS slabs on steroids. Wouldn't you say that would be or am I overhyping it?
Yeah, so we've got a little announcement. It's been in the works for a little bit. We're not going to tell you until next week. Make sure you come back next week, and I would suggest you start submitting if you haven't yet. Bring us your A game for Fresh from the Comic Shop, because this announcement's going to change the game a little bit. EGS, don't worry, we'll still be around as a sponsor. We're just adding something else to the mix, and it's just going to make it all that much better. I'm really excited for it.
And we got a sneak peek of that book today, and it looks fantastic. All right, moving on. We're just going to get into these submissions. No, we're not actually. We're going to talk about the finals. So we have an interesting situation here. We had, in our semifinals last week, we had Union Josh over Mazpaz. Union Josh with the Miles setup. It's straight out of the movie. You got the soundtrack. You got the Jordans. You got the Spider-Man 2 right there. And then you have Mazpaz with an amazing cover with Venom versus Miles. So that being said, Union Josh moved on to go against Raising Elm Comics for the finals. And again, to win this Green Lantern #1, David Nakayama variant cover. I love it, by the way, how it's, it almost looks like a, negative space kind of situation with the green label up
Green
top.
Arrow, not Green Lantern.
What's that?
You did that last week too. That's Green Arrow. See how he's got the bow and arrow.
Did I say Green Lantern?
You did, again, yeah.
It's technicalities. It's okay.
Thank you, James, for understanding and being sensitive.
I do.
That was really bad. So what we have here, James, again, sorry to have to do this to you, but we have an actual, nope, that's Raising Elm right there, by the way. We have an actual tie, 19-19. So we're going to need you to decide, James, right now. Is it the Guardians of the Galaxy Raising Elm submission where you see it looks like I'll give you a closer look here. It looks like a Happy Meal kind of 80s looking vibe, Happy Meal commercial, right?
Right.
Or is it Union Josh with the Into the Spider-Verse kind of setup to win the Green Arrow #1 David Nakayama cover?
All right. Well, first off, I met David Nakayama literally 2 weeks ago, and I've been chatting with him since. He's an amazing person, and his books are always got movement in it because of Jim Lee. Little note.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So anyway, I actually saw this. I voted on this. I'm going to stick to my original vote.
Interesting.
I'm from Chicago. And if you're from Chicago, you know Nike is Jordan's deal. It's going to be Miles Morales and Nike.
Congratulations, Union Josh Comics. You are going to win this Green Arrow #1, the David Nakayama cover. We will be shipping it to you. Congratulations on that. Good stuff. Good stuff indeed. Thank you, James, for going outside the box and doing more responsibility than any other guest has ever done.
Yeah, but I feel like I just upset Joe. So,
No, you did not. We have a special announcement as well. EGS is now recognized by Cover Price, which is a really big deal. A really big deal. Cover Price gauges prices for comics. It's literally a moving price guide that it updates probably a couple times a day, and it shows you what a CGC comic is worth. So it was CBCS and now EGS. Tony, congratulations on that. That is really a big deal because that's not only are they taking into account what these slabs are worth, but they're also giving exposure as well. And we can't be happier because, again, not only a wonderful gentleman, even though he is a Cowboys fan, but he's got a great company too. And he's part of the community. We want to see him succeed. So again, support EGS. Hey, you get 5% off using the code Cannon5. Just do it. All right, we're going to get right into this. Sorry, I cut you off, James.
No, let's get into it. I'm excited.
Let's get into it. First submission we have is Marvel Man 616 Comics. I love this cover, by the way. Ultimate Spider-Man 111, featuring the first appearance of Ultimate Spot, the subject of a Roxxon experiment. Y'all know Spot from the recent Into the Spider-Verse movie, and he looks really like he's kind of a joke. In the recent film, he looks crazy in this. I love that cover, though, by the way. Love that cover.
Yeah, he's much darker in Ultimate Spider-Man than he is anywhere else.
And maybe it's like a combination of the two, the original in the 616 and then the Ultimate verse, because the way that the movie ended, you know what I mean?
It's something.
It's something.
It's gonna be cool. And imagine that a bagel just freaking started it all. Next up, we got Son of Comics. Hulk annual #1, first appearance of the eldest. A mine owner wants the dead monster from the first story out of his mines as it has lain there for months. A trio of weird people stand by the monster's corpse, warning their brother's death. A woman called the eldest has an arm turned brown and scaly, causing the dead. I didn't realize he was giving us a review of the book. But anyways, this is a hot book right now, and it just came out. And that's a very quick turnaround for a 9.8. Congratulations on that, Son of Comics. James, you are first for your fresh get of the week. What do you have?
Oh, what do I have? Okay. So I bring my own books. Oh, that's what this is right now?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's what I just got back from CGC, so that's new to me again.
Okay.
So,
We'll count it.
There, that does count.
Michael Turner.
Michael Turner sketch. And I know that's here. Let's turn that away for a second. There we go. Woo. There we go.
That's nice.
So, 2007 sketchbook. Michael Turner. He's my favorite artist of all time. He was passing when I was going through some physical ailments, and I actually had to relearn how to walk. And he was dealing with bone cancer, so he's one of my heroes.
Wow.
So this book being a 9.8. It means everything to me.
On top of that, it's 346 out of 400.
Yeah.
When did he pass again?
Oh, it's right. It's like
10 years ago.
It's let's see here. This was 2007, so I think it was around 9 or 10. Because he stopped drawing right around this time. So this one's very sentimental to me and very important to me. So having this back in my collection after sending it in is extremely important. So
and a 9.8. Congratulations on that. See, guys, that right there is a great example of what, Joe?
Tugging on the heartstrings right there.
A story. And that is a great story. What it meant to you. Take that into account, people, when you submit. Moving on, we got Nukes Comics. Fresh from the comic shop, The Amazing Spider-Man 1. Scotty Young variant. Peter is reeling from the aftermath of something man, they are summarizing the books. Guys, we don't need to summarize the books. Tell us what the books mean to you. That's a great cover. I love that cover. That's a well-composed shot. You guys notice the depth of field right there? Nice job, Nukes Comics. Really appreciate that. Up next, we got Bobzilla. Miguel, some of my favorite books and one of my favorite characters. They had this skin in the first Spider-Man game for PS5, and it was fire. I need to show my Raw Comics more love. I love it, guys. There was a Spider-Man video game back in the day that had the Spider-Man 2099 skin as well, or character actually.
Jeff, does that post remind you of something that we saw earlier today?
Sure does.
Come back next week to find out more.
Another team. 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific every Sunday night.
Well, this feels like just like little cameos for next week. The whole episode.
Yeah. We're laying the breadcrumbs or the seeds. The groundwork. Yes. Speaking of groundwork, actually it has nothing to do with groundwork. Joe, what do you got for your first fresh get of the week?
You know why I do this. You know why I talk about this all the time. Why do I buy comic book collections? Why do I go yard sale hunting and flea market hunting and go to conventions? It is all to fuel my personal collection. Whether I'm buying whole collections and selling stuff off, or buying books off, from other vendors and stuff. It's all to fund the personal collection. So you gotta love it when you get a really nice personal collection upgrade in a collection that you bought. And that was this book that came in this past week. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 316, classic Todd McFarlane cover, the first full cover appearance of Venom. And yeah, just great book. Now I have a high grade copy of this, but I would call this one an upgrade.
Yeah,
this is a high grade newsstand copy, and this was what, I hear clapping. 1989. So newsstands were a little bit more rare at this point. They were probably about 20% or so of the total print run. So they weren't like scarce, but they were less common and obviously handled differently than comic book stores. So this is an upgrade to the PC as far as I'm concerned. Now, both of them are high grade, so I do want to send both them in because I would rather, this is my personal opinion, you don't have to agree with this, I would rather have a 9.8 direct than a 9.6 newsstand. But obviously I would rather have if they're the same grade, comparable grades, I would rather have the newsstand copy. And that's just my opinion. But yeah, this one is very likely going to be my personal collection copy.
That's a great get. You're thinking you'll get a 9.8 for that?
There's a chance. There is a very small spine tick that looks like it'll press out really nicely. I don't think there's a color break in there, but you never know. The 9.8's a pretty hard to attain grade, as we all know. For anything more than 30 years old like that. So yeah, wish me luck.
We are rooting for you. And if they don't give you a 9.8, I know where their headquarters are, and I'm going to make a ruckus. For
Paul
sure.
Bond just ripping me apart in the chat right here.
You know what?
That would make for a good YouTube segment. You making ruckus at the CGC.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, just saying.
Something to think about. Okay, we'll get back to you on that one. Moving on, who do we have? Mark Lineker, talking rare books here. Here's a rare treat from Dell that I was lucky enough to stumble upon recently. Huck and Yogi Jamboree from 1961. This one-shot is kind of a hybrid between a Dell Giant comic and a cartoon book. 116 black and white pages for $1 in 1961 was a bit expensive. And I suspect this was found more in bookstores than newsstands. All the art and stories are by none other than Bill Hanna and Joe Barbera themselves.
Wow,
that's a cool get right there. That is a cool, fresh get. Again, unique for sure. No doubt about that. Mark Lineker, well done. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to do my first fresh get of the week.
I'll allow it.
Thanks. Just because it's at the top.
I thought I was a co-host.
No, you already did your first. It's my turn. You're not being a very considerate co-host. Is that right, Joe?
Everyone's fired.
We're so angry right now. This is one you just saw. This is Hulk Annual #1 with the first appearance of the Elder. So I'm looking to get into it. It's also got a preview of the new Hulk series coming up. This is a hard to find book, but my local comic shop had it the other day. I was like, okay, I'll pick it up.
Look at this guy just stealing other people's submissions and trying to pass them off as his own.
Yeah, well, timeout. Son of Comics had a 9.8. And I think it came out like 2 weeks ago.
So you're not even as good as him. Great.
I quit. Moving on, we got Goonish Lurker from Denver. This is what we're talking about, a sentimental story.
Ooh.
I had the honor of getting an Ashcan edition of a book coming out later this year by the very skilled Jake Taquito. He is a coworker of mine who has put his blood, sweat, and tears into getting Mare Hollow onto the bookshelves of your local comic book shop. So this is a very special fresh from the comic shop because I want to highlight independent artists whenever I can. So be on the lookout for Mare Hollow by Scout Comics, Grumpin' Pumpkin. Support your local artists and creators so they can bring in the new generation of readership. I mean, I love it, guys. That's what it's like. Seriously, that's a great story. Well done, Goonish. Yeah. Well done, Goonish. We applaud you.
Was cool. That was a really well composed shot and a great story about a personal connection.
Yep.
Love to see it.
It's got all the things that we look for there. All the things.
Yeah, like a wishbone, a horseshoe, an old timey pair of scissors, and some knives.
Yeah.
You just need some plastic, and we'll call it Dexter.
There you go. We have not licensed that song. James, your second fresh get of the week.
All right, let's see here. We've got from, I don't know if you guys know Totally Awesome Comics, and they're near me.
Yeah.
So they do IG claim sales all the time, and I was able to snag this bad boy. Let me turn that again. Yeah. So the Malibu Sun, the Spawn, I think it predates Spawn #1.
Yep.
And, you got the 9.4. So if you're not following Totally Awesome Comics, he's hooked me up. His name's Mikey. He runs around the store and he's hilarious. It's a funny guy. And what I love is the back.
Oh, that's dope. Look at that. Early Spawn art.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, that's super sick. That's the quintessential. I mean, Spawn #1, great book, awesome book, but such a high print run, so readily available.
Yeah.
You can get a 9.8 for under $200 most of the time.
But
that is the Spawn key in my opinion.
Definitely. Such a great pickup right there. Next up, who do we have? Oh, we got good friend Josh's Comics, who likes to spoil all of the things that we like to see. Incredible Hulk 418, the first appearance of Talos, the Untamed, marriage of Marlo Chandler and Rick Jones. Peter David, I love Peter David, by the way, guys. The writer officiates the ceremony. I managed to find this Talos first appearing at a local comic shop, and it was 50% off. Let the invasion begin. My fresh friend in the comic shop for this week. I love what he did here with the poster, too. I don't know if you guys know the Secret Invasion poster right there with Talos.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
Phenomenal actor Ben Mendelsohn.
Yes.
You literally came on here earlier and you said Ben Mendelsohn sucks. I
heard
it with my own ears.
I don't think those are the exact words that I used, but
it's all recorded. Everyone can rewind this and see that.
Yeah, we definitely could. But hey, what's your second first get of the week?
Oh, me? Okay.
Let's do it.
This was a little pack we've got here. As you can see, the boys that I got in a collection, and this it's actually issue 1 through 5. It is the first 5 issues from Wildstorm of the boys. I'm sorry about all the glare here. There we go. That's a nice angle. Now it has a sticker which my finger is covering because I clearly bought this from a person who bought this pack well before the show ever premiered or was rumored, because he got the boys 1 through 5 for $25.
Oh,
wow.
That's the original. I can tell you, I paid a lot more than that for this pack. But yeah, boys 1 through 5, this original purchase price was $25, which was, what the cover price on this book was $3. So, actually $3. So more than cover price, but it was not a, issue #1 is even raw over $100 today. And
the
probably
condition's looking really good there.
It
I mean,
is.
yeah, that's actually all the books
'Cause-
are bagged and boarded, and then there's a Mylar bag on the outside that holds the whole set together. So they look really nice.
nice pickup.
Yeah, I just want to know if you're going to keep that sticker there for $25. You may make a mistake and end up selling $25.
I actually haven't even opened it yet, but those could be contenders in there. They look really sharp.
Those are hard to. Yeah, that'd be amazing if you got that too.
Yeah.
So
look at a CGC.
All right. Again, we'll be rooting for you if you're nice to me going forward. All right, we got Butler Mike 187. My personal goal was made today thanks to people at Shortbox. Amazing Spider-Man 194, a 9.0 newsstand, and what a book! Looking killer with my wooden moral. Is that a thing? Is that a moral? I don't know what a moral.
It's a type of fungus.
Are you
like a mushroom?
Oh. Okay,
look
cool.
Up more. It actually might be a species of mushroom. I'm not 100% on that, but I know it's a type of fungus. I think they're called moral mushrooms, or maybe they're just called morals.
You're more smarter than me.
Graphic stuff here. This is fantastic. I didn't know I signed up for this. It's good.
We're going deep into biology and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Guys. Oh, by the way, we do have a claim for that. The boys 1 to 5.
Nice.
What do you think?
I think I'll hold out a little bit.
All right, Josh, maybe up it a little bit, a couple bucks more. You're good. All right, moving on. We got we'll do my second fresh get of the week. Guys, I'm just going through my local comic book shop pickup. I like this cover right here. It's pretty dope. I stopped reading this series. I just keep picking it up. I don't know why. I want to read it though. I have the whole thing, but it's Moon Knight number 23. Venom makes an appearance in here. So that's a cool cover. How cool is that cover, though?
Yeah, who drew that cover?
It's actually the artist of the book, so Cappuccino. Yeah. I mean, the art, his art. I love how he draws Moon Knight. The colorist does a fantastic job making it look like Moon Knight is glowing.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's got a little aura to him.
Really cool. So that's my second fresh get of the week.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm just going through all of these books just right here. Why not? Moving on, we have who do we have? We got Comic Demon, guys. I like this. I wasn't aware of this. So Comic Demon hasn't picked up his books from his local comic book shop in a while, just like me. But he said he got this pickup. April Fools had a joke cover from DC. It was something definitely to add to the horde. Just a few months of catch up to go. Have you guys seen this? I never saw this one.
Yeah, there's a bunch of covers. There's this one. There's one for Danger Street. I think Tom King did all of them, if I remember correctly. And they're all you can see the TK under the N and Batman.
Oh yeah.
Tom King just did a bunch of stick figure covers, and yeah, they're great. And I think I truly think that these will probably hold some value over time because I've never seen them do something like this before.
Mm-hmm.
So and I'll tell you this, my LCS pretty much immediately sold out of all of these.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't think they were highly, because they were just like a regular normal variant. I don't think they were highly ordered or anything like that. And they definitely caught on. So whether they're a flash in the pan or they're going to have some long-term value, I'd like to see that.
Everything was hand drawn, even the logo up there, the number of the book. It's so cool. Very cool.
That reminds me of the color by number covers that they came out briefly with.
Right.
It was a flash in the pan too. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I had no idea. I feel like I should have known about that. But anyways, all right, James, your final fresh get of the week. What do you got?
All right, so I debated between two because, but I got to show this one because it's my wife's pick.
Nice.
Oh. Scoob.
Yeah, not just any Scoob.
The Scoob book. What a night for a night.
Yep.
Wow.
So that's the original Scooby, and she's the biggest fan. She loves it. And this will be in my hand for no longer than the show, and it's no longer mine. So
And that's, for those of you who don't know, 6.5 is an incredibly respectable grade for that book. Like,
Yeah,
I'm talking
Gold
like
P, 1970. I mean, Jesus,
I have seen low grade copies sell for well over $1,000.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that is a tough book. Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? #1. Now, don't get it mixed up because there are other red cover Scooby-Doo books from that run, and there are so many times that I'm flipping through books in dollar bins or a collection or something, and I'm like, oh my god, and it's not that one. Always be careful. It's got the knight on it because the story is What a Night for a Night.
Yep,
I think that's what it's called. But yeah, that's a grail of mine too.
Yeah, so that just like made her cry, and it was 100% worth the money. So
that's so sweet. That is very, very sweet. And by the way, I think that's the first Scooby-Doo we've had on the show. So well done, James. You are making an impact on the canon.
Okay.
I feel like Mark Leneker might have shared a Scooby-Doo.
You know what? You're right, Mark. Pipe up if you have shared a Scooby-Doo book before.
I feel like
if anybody has, it's Mark Leneker for sure.
Yeah.
But to think that I did not want James on the show after that horrendous showing during his interview, you really turned things around.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to go to bed early, but you kept me around. So
you're welcome, because you are welcome. All right, moving on. We got Raising Elm Comics. Where are we? Where are you, Raising Elm?
Wow.
What's up, comics fan? In honor of Harrison Ford returning to the big screens as Indiana Jones, this week's submission highlights another one of Harrison's iconic roles from our youth, Han Solo. I recently picked up a Walmart 3-pack that had a stunning copy of Han Solo and Chewbacca issue #1 in it. Hopefully I can start reading this 10-issue run over the 4th of July break. My wife and I are looking forward to seeing how Eli reacts to fireworks. Eli is, I believe he's 1 years old. His son wants to see how he reacts to fireworks this year. We are also really excited to see another Indiana Jones adventure when it comes to streaming, of course. On that note, y'all stay safe and be smart during the holiday break. I want to see all of you right back here next Sunday. Happy 4th of July, y'all. He's from Texas, so he says y'all a lot. I like this. This is really cool, though, how he has Han Solo and Chewbacca just looking at the book. He does
that's very well put together.
Always does such a great job of that. All right, Joseph, your last fresh get of the week. What you got?
This was unbelievably just good luck. This was just good luck. I was watching a stream on Whatnot, and I don't know if you know, but people who use Whatnot, when someone ends their stream, they can raid, which means they can throw everyone from their stream into another seller's stream. And it's a great way to promote friends and stuff like that. And I got raided from the stream that I was in into comic book artist Ben Templesmith's stream, who I love. I'm a huge fan of horror, and 30 Days of Night is one of my favorite modern horror movies, and I love the comic run, and I love Ben Templesmith's work. And I plopped me right down into Ben Templesmith right as he's finishing up a little sketch on the cover. And he's like, all right, I'm going to start this one off at $10. And I bid on it, and no one else did.
What?
So I paid $10 plus shipping. I think it was $15 tax and shipping for Dark Days issue #5 with original not Nosferatu sketch by Ben Templesmith.
Wow.
Woo!
So
sick, and it's signed right here by him as well. Like, that's just freaking $10.
What?
You're bringing this book to him at a convention and paying, any artist anywhere between $20 and $50 to do a 2-color, third of a page sketch like that. I got it for $10 sitting in my living room. Like,
that's crazy. And also that would fall under a unique book right there.
Yes.
Exactly.
And I love where he put it too, right where the sun, moon, whatever's going on there.
You could, please.
What's that? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Very cool.
And the cool thing is, Right just below where he signed it is where his name is signed on the cover. So he signed just above it, so you can see both signatures there.
So cool. By the way, Gunnar Schlurker did have a Fresh from the Comic Shop one he signed for. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, very cool.
Really cool. Fantastic get. That really is good. All right. Our last audience fresh get is from Nori Jordan. And it's not Thunderbolts. What? Today I was lucky enough to go to a small comic show with my son, who's the reason I got back into collecting comics after a 20-year break. Some of you may be looking at the pick and say, wow, no Thunderbolts. This is somewhat true. My best find was a Captain America #6, which is the first appearance of Winter Soldier. Bucky was the leader of the Thunderbolts in Volume 3, and he has been a great character in the MCU. I have also wanted to read the Civil War series, so I picked up the first few issues to get me started. Finally, I found some nice Bullseye books. He is the greatest character and the reason I started reading Thunderbolts. Take care, everyone. Well done, Nori, as usual. All right.
Cool.
So, James, you have a decision to make. Again, criteria is a presentation. How well composed is the shot? We saw a couple of those right there. Does the whole overall composition of the picture relate to the book? Have fun with it. Unique. We saw a unique book that is not eligible, but Joe had a unique book right there. Fantastic. And story. What does the book mean to you? A few people have submissions like that. While you're deciding, however you're figuring it out, I'm going to show my last fresh get of the week. I don't know, guys. I'm going to give James a little bit more time because I haven't been to my comic shop in a while. So you saw those two. I don't know. I got Darth Vader 33. Always great covers from Darth Vader. Joe, stop me if you want. Darth Vader 34. Another great cover. How cool is that cover? We got Darth Vader, black, white, and red, #2. Great cover. Guys, we got Moon Knight 24.
That's a sick cover.
Isn't
I
it?
love that one.
James,
I love that one.
working here. Jeez. Darth Vader 35. That's dope. Dr. Afra. We got the Mandalorian.
Baraka, or whatever it's called.
What's that? Oh, yeah. We're
the card game.
Yep.
Yeah, how Han lost the
Not Baraka. That's the guy from Mortal Kombat. What's it called?
I can't remember. There's definitely a Star Wars fan in the audience that knows this.
Mandalorian
Season 2, #1. Is that Cobb Vanth right there? I think so.
Look at that. And that's Nakayama's cover.
Dope.
Baby.
So dope. And then this is Darth Vader black, white, and red #3. I mean, that's a very cool cover.
Love the contrast. Killer.
Yeah. Really good. Anyway, so
Sabak, that's the name of the game.
Sabak. Did somebody say it in the chat?
No, it just came to my head.
All right, so here we are. James, I'm going to bring you back in. Give us like 3 that really stuck out for to you, and then we'll just go with the winner that you have.
I mean, do you like old bags and boards or old boards, the notes?
Yeah, that's absolutely.
So.
And then you can still a backing board as well for one of your comic books, like tomorrow.
So I will. You know what? I will. I'll do that. So the Yogi, that one was killer because I've never seen that book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that thing was sick. The Hollow book right after that one had a wonderful story, and the imagery was absolutely stunning. And the Batman's April Fool, just because I didn't know that thing was pretty. I kind of feel like I'm looking at Sporky from Toy Story a little bit, which is kind of freaking me out.
That's right.
But if you put me on the spot and I actually need to make a decision here, it's going to be between the first 2, and it's the Yogi one.
Mark Lipker.
Yep.
Moving on to the semifinals. Well done. All right. That is very well done. Congratulations, Mark Lineker. I do believe you've been in the semifinals before. I think you've been like Susan Lucci, though. You have not won the award. But who knows? Maybe you will this time. we have to thank James for spending time with it. James, you are, as much shit as we give you, as we do every guest, you are genuinely a great guy. And I'm personally happy that you made it to the show. Again, for all the things that you do in the community. Not only that, you know, as you said, did you say it on the show or the pre-show where you give away books? That's right. You said, yeah. It's like, that's just incredible. So, again, I applaud you. I think you're fantastic. And y'all better be following James here at Comic_Uprising.
The reason why the name, the Uprising, is I'm all about the positivity, and that's where that comes from. The comics is almost secondary. You want if you're down on a day, come and hang out with me. Come talk to me. We're gonna uplift you with the community around us. So
that there, everybody can use that right there, the positive energy. So again, even more reason to appreciate you, even though you eat deep dish pizza.
Hey, the wife liked it, so I win.
Listen, again, you guys.
She also doesn't like Wawa soft pretzels, so we don't trust her anyway.
Fair enough.
What the hell is wrong with this world, Joe?
I know.
Joe, do you have any nice things you want to say to James before we cut out of here? Because that hurts to the core.
Just keep doing what you're doing. Like, seriously, I everyone that I've invited on this show, I have spent either I know personally or I watch their content regularly. And I'm going to continue doing that with you. You know, you're someone who I just recently followed, so I can't really say that I watch it regularly because it's been a week, but I plan to do so in the future. I think what you do is great. As far as just a community get to know each other spotlight thing, that's really awesome. I love what you post, you know, as far as like, you know, real stuff from your personal collection, stuff back from CGC. You did an unboxing the other day. And you know, a lot of comic art as well. You do some of that art, right? Some of your own.
I do.
Drawings?
Yeah, I draw. I can't say the title, but I am on a cover coming out soon. So yeah. So
well, first of all, congrats. That's awesome.
That's amazing. You got to keep us updated on that one.
I will. Absolutely.
Very cool. But yeah, keep doing what you're doing. I'll keep following for sure, and we'll link up again soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you to the audience. Again, you guys are great spending every Sunday nights with us. We appreciate, this is a community. This is, you know, we love talking, hanging out on Sundays, talking comic books and everything related to comic books. You guys all have, for those who celebrate, have a safe and happy 4th of July. And we'll be back again next Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific, with an announcement relating to Fresh from the Comic Shop, which is quite exciting. Until then, y'all, please be good to yourself and be good to others. So, peace.